However, moving on, I'm glad I got stuck with this disc, because now disc 7, we get to talk about the Dragon the Hero, my favorite movie on this set. I absolutely loved the Dragon the Hero. It was so much fun. Like whenever I watched this movie, as soon as it started, like we get that great opening with the rock strike fist opening, and then we just get fight after fight after fight after fight, and I was like, this is it. This is what I was looking for. This is a kung fu movie. This is just classic shapes kung fu. This is just incredible. I love the Dragon the Hero. And then Dragon Lee in the movie is just an added bonus. He is great in this movie. I love seeing him like just kind of like do the Bruce Lee mannerisms thing. The whole thing with the thumbchucks, that is rectified in this, because in Clones of Bruce Lee, we get to see a thumbchuck sequence, but he just kind of pulls it out, does a quick thing, and then throws it away. Like, what was that? But here, he breaks out 2 of them, and he's actually fighting with them. It's just incredible. Philip Coe, love that guy in this movie. He is so great, so over the top. I forget the actor who was in the wheelchair, the cannibal. I can't remember the actor's name.
Oh yeah. I can't remember, but
yeah. He's fun. Sure. He's a lot of fun. John Liu. His kicks are amazing. Like, I love his boot work in this movie. He is so much fun. I love seeing Bolo, like with the the whole ape, like kung fu style he had going on. That was so much fun. Yeah, just man, Dragon the Hero was great. I absolutely love that movie. It's my favorite movie on this set. It was funny because like early before I got on here, my wife asked me. She said, "Are y'all going to talk best or worst?" I said, "I don't know, and I don't really know what I would say is my favorite film. My least favorite is Cameroon Connection, obviously.
Yeah,
on here, but
maybe at the end, maybe at the end we'll do. I was just saying we could do a favorite and second worst, because Cameroon is going to be the worst for everyone.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah, but I told her, I said, I don't really know what I would say is my favorite movie on this set, but then before we got on here and I was just kind of running through the special features that I didn't catch up on, just getting caught up on everything. While I was doing that, I was thinking more about it, and I was like, okay, you know what? This is my favorite, The Dragon the Hero. I love this movie. It is so much fun. And it's cool seeing. One of my favorite things that absolutely killed me was when Tino Wong is fighting the cannibal guy, and then he's like trying to crawl away, and then he runs into Dragon Lee, and then the camera's like on Dragon Lee's face, and he does like the wah! Like, I love that so much. It absolutely slayed me. It was so great. I love The Dragon the Hero. Rage of the Dragon, on the other hand, it was fine. It was okay. I think they probably could have done a better job with the choreography. It seems a little sloppy. And then the plot, I had a hard time following. Like, I don't know. Like, because Rage of the Dragon kind of started off with like grave robbing, and like, I need you to appraise this antique for me. But then there's, your dad's dead. I think he's just been gone for several days. I don't really know where he is. The movie was just kind of hard to follow. But I mean, when the fighting did happen, it was fine. It was decent. Carter Wong is cool. I love Carter Wong. Big fan of that guy. And I will say, I'm sure you guys caught on to this as well. But the whole thing with Carter Wong having an issue with like bright lights or the sun or whatever, little Game of Death reference right there. With Kareem Abdul-Jabbar having that same issue.
But didn't the sunglasses seem like out of place a little bit for the time period? To me, they seem like not period.
It didn't match anything.
Don't know what you're on about.
But it was but I mean, Rage of the Dragon was fine. I would say that's kind of mid-tier, definitely mid-tier, but it's okay, because I loved the Dragon the Hero so much. I didn't even really care if the Rage of the Dragon wasn't that good. But yeah, that's all I got to say about that one. I think Dragon Hero is the best movie on the whole set. May not be the best disc, I think that's kind of up for debate, but I think Dragon Hero is definitely the best movie on here. So yeah, Leon, let's hear it.
Okay. Anybody want to hazard a guess?
I don't know. You're too unpredictable, man.
Yeah,
it might be one of these ones again for you.
I feel like I don't. Okay. Yes.
Who doesn't love a bit of old school kung fu, eh? And having John Liu in there. I'm a massive John Liu fan. If any of you have seen me and Shout harp on about him in like New York Ninja and some of those other Vinegar Syndrome titles, I really do love him. And for me, it is 100% John Liu's film. Dragon Lee in this is kind of relegated to fighting the jokes or sort of Dean Shecker-like, if you like.
Yeah.
The Thumb Chucks, I know there's a lot of fans of it. I just think that utter nonsense, and I just don't get it. Somebody would grab that and just rip your thumb off, job done. I'm like, what the hell is that? It's going to have no impact, and it's going to put you in a lot of danger. So every time I see those thumb chucks, I'm like, oh, fucking hell, here we go again. So I can't stand the thumb chucks. And I'm not really that sold on Dragon Lee yet. I mean, he's in fine physical specimen. It looks incredible.
Crazy.
He's just not. He doesn't set me on fire. I'm not really convinced. But John Liu in this, yeah, he really sold me on the film. I did enjoy it, and if he was paired off with Bruce Lee instead of Dragon Lee, I think it might have been a 2 thumbs up again. And as for the other one, Rage of the Dragon, having said that, can anybody guess what I have for that one?
I'm gonna say middling, like
thumbs down. Yeah, thumbs down.
Yeah. You tried, Caleb. You tried.
Yeah.
Didn't do any. This it just didn't do much for me. Rage of the Dragon tour. I thought it was very lackluster. Like all you guys, seen bunches, hundreds of kung fu movies, and this one just had nothing in it to stand out from the crowd for me. That's all I got to say. I mean, Kurt Huang was in there, but he wasn't in there enough for me, and it wasn't one of his better performances. He was just kind of ho-hum. And I was disappointed. I thought Rage of the Dragon might have been the one that would have put me on Dragon Lee, but it didn't do anything for me. Sorry, chaps.
Yeah, did you notice the sound effects in Rage of the Dragon, by the way? Did you catch on to those?
Yeah, they kind of.
That was overkill. That was overkill.
Yeah, I was like, what is all that? Like everybody like.
And I think I'm a bit of a disadvantage as well on the whole set. Whereas I don't know if any of you were, but I really am a subtitle guy.
Oh, okay.
That's how I like to watch my films.
Okay.
Dubbing, I have to put matchsticks in my eyes. There's something about dubbing that sends me asleep. I'm sat there on the sofa going.
Oh, interesting.
Really? Until it gets to the action, the voices on the dub, because you've heard them like a billion times before.
Yeah.
So it's like a comfort thing. I just thought, no, I'm watching the film. So I really struggle with dubbing, and I think some of my scores may have gone up if I'd had a subtitle, Cantonese subtitle version, because I'm not a fan of dubbing. But I know I'm the odd one out there, but that's just the way it is for me.
Yeah.
Jason.
Yeah, so Dragon the Hero, I felt this one, like you said, Leon, is just such an old school kung fu movie. It gave that vibe, and the box set needed that in a few spots. And it being old school like that, Philip Ko was so menacing. And I think kung fu movies, if you were making a kung fu movie, 9 times out of 10, if you make it about kung fu, I feel like that's a great way to go. And this, you're so invested in if Philip Ko can beat their kung fu and their training. I think that's why we love Shaw Brothers so much, because it's often about kung fu, especially like the late 70s ones. And and I think that would have saved a lot of the other movies if they had the guy in Cameroon Connection studying kung fu and if they just threw that in, you'd be more invested. When you bring the kung fu into the kung fu movie, it you can't fail. So I love that it was about kung fu itself. Dragon Lee, he seemed like an afterthought in this one, and they did say they just brought him in because he was like a new sensation from Korea, and I guess this was his first Hong Kong movie. And like Leon was saying, I love pumping iron and bodybuilding. I think my take on him is he might give Lo Mang and Bruce Lee like a run for the money on his physique. I mean, his physique is just nuts, crazy physique.
Yeah.
That's pretty much, I loved it. I love the ending because you wanted to see if they could take out Philip Ko, and he was like a madman by the end. I thought that was really cool. And for Rage of the Dragon, I liked it because it just gave me that old school feel. I like the setting. Like, you know, me and Leon love Conan the Barbarian, and Thulsa Doom, that cave at the end, that cave or whatever was up on that hill. I like the setting of their village was down here. They had the cave up top. In the whole movie, like even when Dragon Lee was defeating the guy in the water, you could feel like I don't know if they had found his father yet, but there was something about the setting that worked for me, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, because I could feel like it was strange that it was that scary thing they kept going to, and his dad was there dead, and he was, you know, it worked for me. But the sunglasses were strange, and the sound effects, I think, brought it down a bit. That was odd. Yeah, so I think Dragon Lee. I still have films of his. Obviously, like I haven't seen too many. I'm interested now in Dragon Lee. I think the good part of Rage of the Dragon is that's his movie where he's not thumbing his nose and doing the cat calls. You know, the laser sounds were odd, but I saw the potential in this one where Dragon Lee separated from the character and said, "Wow, this guy might have some substance there." That's what I gathered from it, and I want to see if we can get some where he actually his acting. I mean, I think it just you so used to him being that like Sonic the Hedgehog guy, like that craziness. That when he tries to act, it's like, whoa, he's actually talking here. It's kind of weird, like when he slows down. And this is the movie where he slowed down, and you see him branch out. So to see him go away from Bruceploitation, that's why I like this movie. For me, you know, Rage. But separate from Leon, I grew up watching the dubs, and like World Northern was like those versions. So that guy that does the Godzilla dubs, Ted, I guess his name, and the main guy that does all these dubs on all these movies. When I hear that, it's like a warm blanket for me. So I do prefer the English dubs. Like I went through a trajectory where English dubs are my favorite. Then when the Celestial came along, I was like, oh, you know, original language is the best. But now when I hear the English dub, it kind of just takes me back home away, that feeling, you know. But I will say, when I talked about that Ted guy, when they in Challenge of the Tiger, they had Richard Harrison had that famous Master Killer Ted voice, and they gave Bruce Lee the other one. I think that should have been swapped. That was odd to have that classic dub voice on Richard Harrison, you know. But yeah, that's my take on the Dragon Lee disc.
Yeah, I think Dragon the Hero, that one made me a Dragon Lee fan right there, because beforehand I knew who he was, but I was like, I don't really know how I feel about him. But this one I was like, okay, he's actually pretty cool. I like him. He definitely looks the most like Bruce Lee, I think, because I think from certain angles it is a spitting image. Like he looks just like Bruce from certain angles. Like like when his head is turned a certain way or something like that. When
his head's down and he looks up. Yeah,
it looks just like Bruce.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one definitely, Dragon the Hero definitely made me a fan of Dragon Lee. But yeah, moving on to Sean, let's hear what you have to say on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I eat this shit for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I mean, the Dragon Hero is what I'm looking for in a kung fu film. I'm a big fan of Dragon Lee. I implore you all to watch his Korean stuff. Martial Monks of Shaolin Temple. Golden Dragon, Silver Snake. Watch some of his Korean stuff where he does like old school shapes. Really, really good. A lot of fun. This just did it for me. I mean, it's got everything I want. I won't harp on this too much, but it's just a classic old school kung fu film. The fights are decent. Philip Ko pops up. I mean, I've got no complaints about it. I think it was my second favorite in the set. But that's just because I'm a huge old school fan, and I think everyone has covered what I love about it. Just a good time. Just a good time. Classic kung fu is what I'm looking for. Rage of the Dragon can fuck right off. That film, I hated this film. It was insane. It was weird. It was see, the thing with this film, it was insane and weird, which is kind of interesting, but it was so fucking boring. It was unbelievably boring. I just couldn't handle it. I found it very, very boring. I was kind of sad that Dragon Lee was in it because, you know, I like him. I think he's great. I think he's got a lot of skill, but in this one, he's just, nothing special. The sound effects are so ridiculous that it's he's doing like Mantis style. And I like Mantis. I like Mantis Fist. It's one of my favorite styles of Kung Fu, actually. But it just ruins it. It's terrible. So didn't love Rage of the Dragon at all. It was probably my second my second least favorite on this entire
Okay.
set.
We might need a Cameroon follow-up with you.
yeah, maybe I need to watch it.
Well, if you watch it tonight, I can add it in as a. No, I don't know. I don't want to torture you. I don't want to torture you.
It was good seeing John Liu in The Dragon the Hero. I really so with John Liu, I really disliked him for the longest time. I didn't think his kicking abilities were great. I thought he was a one-trick pony, and he bored me. This was probably about 10 years ago and older when I thought that. But then recently, I've had kind of a John Liu. There's been a John Liu resurgence in my house, where kind of an epiphany. I can't remember the film I was watching, but I was just like, wait, I do like John Liu, and I've been watching a few John Liu films recently, and I've really enjoyed this stuff. So it's nice to see him. Always nice to see Tino Wong. I think he's underrated. No one really talks about Tino Wong, and he's really good. So it was nice to see him in it. And just it had everything, including the Dean Shek character, that all good kung fu films have. And I just had a good time. So this one was definitely a polarizing disc for me. I think it had a very good film and a bit of a shitty film, unfortunately. But all in all, just to have The Dragon the Hero look this good and on a set on Blu-ray, I'm very, very excited to have it. But I'll keep it short and sweet. One good, one bad.
Cool.
All right, Dragon.
Kind of one very good and one okay for me. I certainly didn't not enjoy The Rage of the Dragon. The first one felt very much like Godfrey Ho channeling Yuen Wu Ping, and kind of basically kind of giving us that sort of that kind of very much that kind of Snake and Eagle Shadow Drunken Master type movie, but with shades of Lee Soy Nam as well. That guy in the wheelchair looked like his makeup job was lifted straight from The Hot, the Cool, and the Vicious from you. They just tried that, and I haven't even checked to see which one came first, but I really enjoyed it. It was kind of nice having that sort of flavor, because up until this point we hadn't really had like an old traditional, basically shaped style movie on the set so far, and like Leon said, it's much more of a John Liu movie than it is a Dragon Lee movie.
Yeah,
I was fine with that. But I do also really like Dragon Lee, and even more so after seeing him interviewed in the documentary. He came across really well. He's like, I found him really endearing. And I think he had a lot more to do in Rage of the Dragon. It definitely is plodding in places. I didn't, maybe controversially, my Leon-esque hot take is I was fine with the laser sound effects.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
I find myself thinking
cool.
like that all of those things would be good samples, like for the kind of music that used to kind of lift huge chunks of sound effects from kung fu movies. I was just hearing them as percussion, right? I was just hearing it as like not so much as a sound effect, as more like a snare alternative. Yeah, right. So I dug them both, and I kind of liked the end fight with Carter Wong. The glasses didn't faze me. I thought Carter Wong looked cool, and I liked the kind of whole like mirror vest thing that he had at the end, and just cool seeing Dragon Lee.
I did like that.
Shape. You did, yeah.
Yeah, I like the mirror vest.
It was very cool. It was kind of just a nice something a little bit unique to itself, and much more of a Korean martial arts movie, right? That whole Rage of the Dragon is, I think, pretty much exclusively filmed in Korean. And another film with really good special features on it. It's a really, really good Godfrey O interview on the special features for The Dragon the Hero. You could give me like an entire box set, the length that this whole box set was, of just Godfrey Ho talking his way through all the movies, and I'd be in heaven, right? I absolutely love Godfrey Ho so much. So yeah, for me, just a great disc. Maybe not my all-time favorite disc, but way up towards the top for me. I really enjoyed them both.
Does anyone know the origin of the thumbchucks? Like, was that a Dragon Lee thing that he?
I think so.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I think they talked about on the Clones Cast. It might have been suggested by a director in Korea.
Okay.
I can't remember. I do like it. It is strange, but it adds to his, like, he has so many things going on at once. When he rips his shirt off, he has thumbchucks. He's like grabbing his hair. The whole thing is just like, wow, this dude. He seems like he has rabies sometimes too.
Nothing is almost like you guys know what kabuki theater is. Where
a little bit, yeah.
Where it's that kind of like idea of he's not so much acting for movies, he's almost like a stage actor doing Bruce Lee, where everything's huge. Like he's playing to the back of the room.
Right.
He's playing to the guy who's sitting like 300 feet away. who needs
Right.
to still be able to see. So everything's super exaggerated, and I kind of dig that. He's like an anime version of Bruce Lee.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah,
I need to know his workout regimen. I mean, it's insane because Lo Mang said he just did like body push-ups and didn't use weights. Dragon Lee looks like he's ready to go to like Mr. Olympia or some shit. You know what I mean? Like,
big, very big.
Yeah.
He was great. I really enjoyed that disc. And like Dragon was saying, I love the Godfrey Ho interview. That's really great. I love listening to Godfrey Ho talk. It's like he's very, very fun to
He's
listen
so
to.
charismatic.
I had a question about that. When Godfrey Ho was talking, he speaks Chinese, but then he speaks English like mid sentence and goes back.
It's like a lot of backwards between English and English and Chinese.
Is he trying to just do both? I thought that was interesting.
I think it's probably because he would have been sitting with Frank and Michael, so sometimes he speaks like, because if you watch like the interviews on Ninja Terminator, he's just sitting with Mike Leader and Arnav Enema, so he almost exclusively speaks English. He's got certain turns of phrase that I really like, which he almost in every sentence he says, which we call, and then we'll say something that's like a super widely known phrase. Like he'll say like if he was talking about the cameraman, he'd be like, a cameraman using what we would call a camera, and you're like, oh, okay. We don't need that. But it's really fucking sweet, man. It just endears you to him all the more, and he uses it so much. Yeah, that was one of my favorite special features on the film side, right? I really like the Godfrey Ho stuff.
Yeah. I'm really glad that I got stuck with that disc. Like after Jason said he wanted me like specifically to cover that one, I was like, thank you, because I can talk about my favorite movie on the set. But yeah, so I guess that means it's time to round it out. We get to disc 8, the bonus disc. Hopefully, everyone watching this, or at least a majority of them, have actually seen this disc, because this disc is a Severin exclusive. So, if you want to see these movies, you got to get it from there. But yeah, disc 8, our bonus.
For the moment, I'll jump in at that point and say, like, if people didn't get the set from Severin, I think there's a good chance that these might come along as a standalone release somewhere down there.
Interesting.
Wow, standalone for each disc.
Unknown, but like it's not necessarily going to be only available as part of the set. I think there's a chance that we'll see them separately.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I hope they do that. That'd be great for everybody to check that out. But yeah, disc 8, we get Big Boss Part 2 and Black Dragon versus Yellow Tiger. I was interested, before I got to watch Big Boss Part 2, I was very interested to check it out, because Bruce Lee's original Big Boss is a classic, really great movie. So I was interested to see what they were going to do with this one, and for the most part, it's fine. It's another one of those movies that I thought was just fine. It's okay. Again, I will say the subtitles are really hard to read. I know that the print that they used was all they had, and there is no English dub. They really just kind of have this. This is just what they had to work with here. So, but the subtitles were kind of hard to read at points, and that was a little frustrating for me.
Yeah, there's a lot of white on white, right?
Yeah.
They're burned in. Yeah, they're burned in.
Yeah. But again, I thought the movie was fine. Whenever they fight, it's cool. The fight scenes are pretty decent. I do wish we had gotten to see more of Bruce Lee. We only see him in the beginning, and then he's in jail for the rest of the movie, and then we just work with Lo Lei, which I have no problem with. I love Lo Lei. He's incredible. But I do wish we had seen more Bruce Lee. That was kind of disappointing. I was kind of hoping that they would do something to where he would get out of jail or whatever. I don't know, but I was hoping they'd do something with that, and they didn't. But I also felt like we kind of got lost a little bit in the movie, because whenever it starts, Lo Lei visits Bruce Lee in prison, and he's like telling him, I want to finish the job here. I want to, our revenge isn't complete. I want to finish this because you're stuck in here. And so let me tell me what to do. Tell me who to find or whatever. So like that, obviously it's established right there. But then afterwards, I feel like we just kind of got lost after that, and just kind of started, going on about, where do they hide the gold and stuff like that. And, and then he spends a lot of time with this girl that he's falling for and stuff like that. So we did get kind of lost at, like in the middle there for a long time. It was cool seeing, the Ice Factory manager from the original Big Boss. It was cool seeing him again. It was cool, revisiting some of the locations from the original Big Boss, like the house and the ice factory itself. That was really cool. It was fine, but I also was a little disappointed in some ways. So I feel like they could have took the movie in some better directions, and they just didn't do it. But it was okay. Then Black Dragon versus Yellow Tiger, I was actually surprised with that one. I did not think it was going to be that good, but I actually really liked the fight scenes in Black Dragon versus Yellow Tiger. The finale was pretty good. And again, there's a lot of throwbacks to Way of the Dragon because this is meant to be a direct. So there's some good throwbacks to that. Again, though, I was a little confused about our main character Tong Fu. I was a little confused about his relationship with Bruce's character from Way of the Dragon. I was a little confused about that.
It changed like 3 times.
Yeah, sometimes he was brother, sometimes he was like a fellow student,
cousin, classmate, friend. It was weird. It was a little confusing right there. But I mean, I did like the fights. Whenever the fights happened, it was a lot of fun. But yeah, I would say that movie is another mid tier. I think it was fun for what it was. But yeah, Leon, what do we got?
Okay, right. Anybody want to hazard a guess on my thoughts for Big Boss Part 2?
I'm worried that you're not going to change what's right by your head right now.
No, I think you might give it a thumbs up.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Wow.
I absolutely fucking love this one. I really did.
Holy crap.
Big Boss is my favorite Bruce Lee film. So this had a lot to live up to. And I like the setup. I like that it continues directly from the Big Boss. And I'm happy with Bruce Lee being Bruce in jail. That fits the story perfectly. And then one of my favorite ever Kung Fu stars, Shaw Brother stars, Lo Lei. And he hasn't often enough had a starring role. King Boxer, we all love that, I'm pretty sure. And, occasionally he's had a leading role, but not very often. And I thought he was really, really good. I like the acting. I like the story. I love Lo Lei's style. He always look. I don't know if you've really watched, but when he's kicking some of the guys, he knocks them well off their feet. They land on their back, so they're taking the hits. He 100% commits to what he's doing. And although he's not the finest martial artist, he's got that sort of Jimmy Wang Yu sort of attitude, and the delivery always sells me with Lo Lei. And the actress, I think, if memory serves correctly, I think she's called, and I'll be careful saying this, I think she's called Wang Ping, and she's been in a lot of Shaw Brother films too. I really like her. I think she looks really sweet on camera, and it's a bit of a change up, but obviously the foreman suddenly becoming the Big Boss, because we didn't have any hint of his skill in the Big Boss. But obviously, I think he directed this one, so he obviously wrote that into it. And I didn't mind that. There's so many different elements. You got the underwater sequence, which I really like after the river chase. And you got the alligators in there. Obviously, they were doubled for that. You could tell they were doubled pretty badly. But yeah, there's just so many different elements. That scene reminded me of I think Man with the Golden Gun with the boat chase and that. And you got the locations in Thailand. I absolutely loved the locations in this. I had a blast watching this. I expected to hate it, and I absolutely loved it. So yeah, I will be returning to Big Boss Part 2 many times.
Nice.
And for the Black Dragon versus Yellow Tiger, any guesses?
Thumbs up for this one.
Thumbs down, I'm going to say.
I think it might go thumbs down.
Really?
Yeah.
I was wrong.
God.
That was quite the jump from the.
I don't know what to say. The lead actor in this, he's a physical specimen. Yeah, I get that, but my God, man, you've got time to put the kettle on, make a cup of tea, and dunk your biscuit before he delivers that roundhouse kick. I've never seen it so telegraphed. I'm like, what the freaking heck? Yeah, I just find him. I found he had a lack of charisma for me. He didn't pull me into it at all. It's a shame because I thought this would be one of the ones I would like, with it following up on Way of the Dragon, but this delivered what I expected Big Boss 2 to, which was disappointment. And I thought that'd be the opposite way around, but no, there's not much I liked about this film. I don't want to run it down to the ground. I can see why it's in there. We're getting a different Bruceploitation actor. It's a really interesting piece because it is following up Way of the Dragon, so it continues that story along. And it's good to see that history there and see all these different avenues that they take. I do appreciate that, and I really like that they did that. And it is a really curious, piece. But for me, I probably won't return to this one. I don't think it just didn't do anything for me. That's all.
Fair enough. Jason?
Yeah, so Big Boss Part 2, to go back to my one time at band camp, Tarantino's theater, they played it. And I have a hunch this could be Tarantino's print, because you know how Michael Wirth says it's a private owner?
Yeah.
I wonder if it was his, because it said when they played it, Tarantino's was one print left. And I can't remember the whole story of what happened, but I went in not knowing what's going on, and I got to say, I absolutely loved it. I love Big Boss Part 2. I can't even articulate why exactly. It's I have a little bit of thing for myself as a musician. I don't know if you guys ever feel this, like if a band you love, who says like Led Zeppelin or pick a band, but if there's a B-sides album, you know how sometimes you can, because everything else is overplayed, the B-sides album can kind of feel like your thing that people don't all know about. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's kind of like the fact that I had saw this and it was so rare, it brought it up in my mind. And the fact that I don't know, I do like slow burns in movies, and I love Lolay. Bruce Lay, he does seem really green, but he kind of seems good in this. He has the intensity. I thought he'd be more like maybe raw or something, or not act too well. But yeah, I just love this one. I think Lolay, the first fight scene takes you back, like, wow, he's really good. And yeah, it's funny, the Purple Haze and the Jimi Hendrix music, I'm sure you guys caught that in there. That's pretty cool. Yeah. And I don't know the story why this is so rare. Maybe it just was discarded and like whatever, it just died along the way somehow. I don't know, like people just, because on that negative, the extra about the negatives, it said they get to North Africa or France.
North Africa, yeah.
Yeah, and then I guess they wouldn't send them back, so it's kind of like where they would go to die. And that was a great extra, by the way. That really gave insights into all of it, and not to go too off on a tangent, but if you guys listen to the Clones Cast Fist of Fury 2 episode, I do call in on it, not like a self plug or anything, but right after when I call in, Michael goes in this long thing explaining negatives and intrapositives and intranegatives, and that really I didn't know much about that. But I can see it now whenever the intros are on the film. When Michael says this one's from the print, you can see it's really damaged and it has a print look. And the negative, it's like you're looking, I mean, they could be damaged, but on Challenge of the Tiger, it's like you're not looking at film. It's like you're there almost, when they scan the negative. So I thought that was interesting. This one was so beat up, though. It was crazy. And I think that's also why they put it on the bonus disc, is because it was not the quality. Of the other ones.
Like,
but anyway,
more forgiving crowd if people are getting it straight from the website, I think.
Yeah. And then Black Dragon versus Yellow Tiger, that's going to be for me a mid-tier one. I think I got a little bit of Bruceploitation fatigue, believe it or not, by the time I got to that, because I went consecutively. And I just felt like, I don't know. I just felt like, yet again, the plot was confusing. Like they were coming after him. Is he his brother? Why did they now care about Tong Fu? Because it was just so much back and forth. I was convoluted, and I felt like, I don't know. I kind of was like just burnt out a little bit because I did a straightaway, and I felt kind of just fatigued from it. And I think if I watch it in a different light, I might enjoy it more. And Tong Long, I mean, he's a decent fighter. I do know what Leon's saying about the kicks, and his build is good and everything. It just, I don't know. It's strange. I do appreciate them trying to do Way of the Dragon, because most films don't do that, though. Most Bruceploitation films don't.
And Jason, wasn't this one of the ones that was made when Bruce was still alive? This went into production, I think, before he died.
It might have. I know it's an early one, and it's not. It was really rare, but yeah, it might have been. There
I
were
think it
some.
came out 74, but I think it was made 72.
Oh
From
wow!
what Michael Worth had said. So this one kind of like, much more of a straight unofficial sequel, right?
Yeah.
Man, that makes it even more. I mean, to do Bruceploitation while he's live, that's like true Bruceploitation, Because the point of Bruceploitation, in a way, is like when I was young and I didn't know better, it continues the feeling. It's like, okay, this is Bruce doing this, and this is Bruce doing this. If you go to it now and you haven't seen him, it's just kind of often clearly inferior. But when I was 6 years old, it just gave me more. You get to see Bruce doing whatever, going to hell and all that. But yeah, so I don't know. I thought that one was okay. I felt it just kind of. You could tell in these movies, like I said, when they ran out of ideas or out of a guy to fight, he fought the one guy like 4 times, but it's not like the guy was like training and got better. It's like, oh, he's fighting this guy again, and it's the same fight. It's not. That's why they're going to bring the kung fu into it. The reason Chen Kun Tai going to Pai Mei again and again is he's trying to get better. On the 4th fight against that one guy, it's like I don't even know what the point is. You know what I mean? But yeah, so I was just kind of lukewarm on Black Dragon, Yellow Tiger.
All right, Sean.
I think the Big Boss Part 2 was a case of wanting something so much because it was so rare, and it's been rare for years. It just hasn't been around, and it wasn't a great payoff. I, for one, do not. I'm going to probably come under fire here. I do not think Lole is a good leading man at all.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I think King Boxer really captured magic, and then in everything else, he has to be a villain for me. He's just not a leading man. I don't think he's got the range to really pull off. I don't know. I just don't think he's that emotive in the space. Okay. But to each their own. But it wasn't great for me. It was kind of plodding. It's one of those films I feel that. I know I've said this a few times, but it's definitely one of those films that I watch, and then in 2 months, I'll be like, I don't remember a thing about that film. And I think it's definitely one of those. It could be because I had Bruceploitation fatigue and just they all blurred together. But I think that one just didn't stand out for me. Didn't really enjoy it. I got if someone was going to say how do you feel about the film, I'd say it's a middle ground film. It's fine, but for me, I understand where other people get pleasure from it or enjoy it. I don't know. It just didn't hit for me. Maybe it just wasn't what I was looking for that day. But yeah, it didn't do much for me. However, the Black Dragon versus Yellow Tiger, I watched that this morning. For some reason, I fucking love that film.
Oh, cool.
I'm not entirely sure why I like it so much. I had a great time with it. I do not think it should be called Black Dragon versus Yellow Tiger.
Oh yeah.
Black Dragon turns up in the last fucking 5 minutes.
I thought Ron Van Cleef was going to be in it. What the?
Yeah, it's. I prefer its original title, which is The Growling Tiger. I actually kind of like that. It's a great title for a movie.
Yeah, I have to add on. I have to agree with you there. I forgot to say that. Yeah, the end fight to me was anticlimactic a bit too, and yeah, that has to be U.S. retitling, obviously. And they're just like, oh, they just made it that. That was odd, that title.
Yeah, and I don't know why they went for that dub track for that poor guy. It was atrocious. But I enjoyed the film. It just seemed like a kind of rogues gallery of villains, and just he fought through them. I kind of, at times, I thought Tong Lin was a terrible fighter. At times, I was just like, oh, this is kind of decent. So it kind of fluctuated. I don't think he's the best kicker in the world, but I think he's pretty good with his hands.
Unless he's using nunchucks, in which case, stop using nunchucks.
There is a wonderful scene in this film where he pulls out there's people surrounding him. He pulls out nunchucks, he spins them around and puts them back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's great.
I was trying to remember who was horrible with the nunchucks. It's him, right?
Yeah, not bad.
He's certainly not great. Yeah.
Well, there's someone on this box set, and I think it's in my notes, but it has to have been him. It had to have been him.
Yeah, he needs to go home and practice a little bit more. But I don't know. There's a certain there's something about this film that I enjoy, because I think I enjoy that it's kind of not that good, but I kind of enjoy it for not being that good. And I'm not quite. It's not so bad it's good, but it's just I don't know. It's kind of it's like this is how I feel. It's like someone I know made like a film for college.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of good. That's how I feel about this film. It's kind of, it feels like someone just, you know, went in their backyard and filmed some fight scenes. And I'm like, good job, you did a good job. And that's what this film is for me. But I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I had a good time.
That's cool. That's cool. I love the way there's overlap and there's also misaligns as well. It's fantastic to see everybody's different take.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
Were you guys shocked that this is like the only one that plays off of Way of the Dragon? I mean, for how many, you know, Fist of Fury playoffs, and I guess Big Boss, there wasn't quite as many, but you think Way of the Dragon, they would have had like Chuck exploitation or something, you know, coming off of it.
I thought the same thing. I thought that was kind of weird, you know, because like whenever you start the movie and you put on like Michael Wirth's Kung Fu Theater intro, and he even mentioned in there that, you know, that Way of the Dragon is one of those movies that never really got like a follow up. And whenever he said that, I was like, oh wow. And actually, now that he says that, yeah, it is kind of surprising, you know, because they've done so many prequels and sequels and like spinoffs or whatever, a Fist of Fury. There are so many Game of Death concept movies out there. I was kind of surprised that Way of the Dragon was one of those movies that didn't get that kind of treatment.
Yeah.
All right, Dragon, take us home.
For me, interesting more than kind of like full on love or full on not enjoy. Did find myself right the way through Big Boss Part 2 wishing that pretty much every time I saw Lole, actually wishing that it's Fist of Fury Part 2. I think that was the thing that I learned overall, was like I kind of enjoy Fist of Fury Part 2 more than the Big Boss Part 2, which is fine. But it was all right. It was okay. Nice kind of seeing some of the locations in Thailand again. But was very much middling. I'm quite surprised by Black Dragon versus the Yellow Tiger. Like Sean, I dug that one too, right? For weirdly different reasons. Partly because of the fact that it was all in Taiwan and some of the locations were awesome. Like that last place where they have the last fight was this really interesting concrete version of the border that looked like it was stripped bare. And when they were having like the sort of celebrations for, I don't know if it was like a New Year's celebration that they just used for the film, was kind of really interesting. It had a different feel and a different vibe to the stuff you see from Hong Kong. They shot that kind of one scene when he first encounters the two dudes in white suits in the rain, which was really badass. And it was kind of had we ever actually seen like a Bruce Lee fight in like full on drive and rain that way? I don't know if we had. So I kind of dug that. I thought they were kind of trying to do their own thing. He was like, at one point I thought he was mute. Like, I hadn't been paying enough attention when Tong Lung was in the first few minutes of the film, because when he first comes up against the first gang, he speaks entirely in sign language. It's all like,
yeah,
he doesn't really speak to them at all. And I know he was sort of doing the Bruce thing, but it was like, all right, shit, is this? Can he speak? And then obviously he can speak, and he does speak, and at certain times says some really entertaining shit. Like at one point he does a demonstration. He's like, okay, that's Shaolin Tiger Fist. But you don't need to learn that. You'll find your own. You'll find your own thing. Now go away home now, guys.
How about him in front of a mirror? That was so bizarre.
Yeah, he was getting the mannerisms right.
Yeah.
But I thought it was interesting. It was kind of, I would have liked to see a nicer print, but I know that's all they had access to. And I thought in some ways it was cool having one really beat up example on there, so you can show people like, this is what all movies we used to watch kind of looked like when you were trying to find these films before the DVD days, right? Like, you bloody kids, you got it so fucking good. So there's a good one to point for that sort of situation. So yeah, I kind of enjoyed it. I thought it was like a good way to round out the end of the set, and I think has me excited to see what they're going to put together for Volume 2.
Yeah.
What you were saying there, though, when it has that quality of like it's really beat up, the prints and everything, doesn't it like make you feel like you're part of like saving it, preserving it, because you have it now? Do you know what I mean? Like when you watch like a film that's scrubbed so well, it's like, you know, and also probably because you know that these are really rare, the two on this last disc. But the fact that it looks so beat up, I'm just like, oh, cool, this is on my shelf, and it almost died. It almost didn't make it. You know what I mean? And seeing it like at the end of the reels, you know, that's when it gets really etchy, and then it gets better when the next reel starts. Some of those end of the reels on some of these, it was like the whole screen was like disintegrating and green was flying, and then it like corrected. It was like, wow, is it going to make it? But I thought that was cool. Like you get that preservation feeling when you see the film just look like it's like this has been played in a theater a lot.
Mhm.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great to have any of these. I mean, it's just the fact that
Oh yeah.
I have them and I can go to them every time, and I don't have to go to YouTube and watch a shitty copy anymore. It's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's the magic of this box set is that this is like pretty much like it's getting more respect now. Thank you to Michael Wirth and thank you to Frank Jang and David and Severin and everything. But the overall like feeling towards Bruceploitation, it just, you know, people just usually didn't like it, or there was rare people that liked certain things. And I think this is putting it good.
So I was going to say, do you not think that in a lot of those cases it was people don't like the idea of it?
Yeah,
Without really necessarily diving in, because there's so much variety. I mean, even just look at how much the five of us have had like a total undulation of which things we've enjoyed and which we haven't, right? And which things have resonated with each of us. And the films and people's responses to them are so radically different when you give them a chance, right? And nobody's, as we said right at the beginning, no one's saying these are like award-winning candidates for like the best movies ever made. They're not going to be that, and particularly if we all come from like a history of having seen Shaw Brothers, which is basically the equivalent of like sky-high production values.
Yeah,
and these are not that, right? But there's a charm and there's a sort of energy and a sort of rawness to them that can be really endearing and really entertaining. But you just need to give them a chance.
Yeah, I've heard you mention that before. It's true. Like a lot of the Bruce Lee zealots that love Bruce Lee, and I love Bruce Lee, but that's like often the tough crowd. That's the crowd that does not want to hear about Bruceploitation. But and this might sound, I don't know if it's a hot take, but I don't know if you guys agree. I think Bruceploitation's its best when it's not trying to be Bruceploitation, when it's like
agree.
The story of Bruceploitation, the stars breaking out from them trying to put him in these boxes. You know, when Bruce Lee breaks out, that's his best films. When Bruce Lee is challenged with the tiger, he's not thumbing his nose. That's when he shines and his charm is there. Dragon Lee. Yeah, when Dragon Lee's not the Sonic the Hedgehog version of Dragon Lee, that's when he you're like, wow, and that's why, like Sean said, to watch some more. I want to see more now because I could see he has some depth there versus the Carnival version. You know?
Yeah, I think I need to see that.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think I need to see some of that. But I think this stream has like kind of made the point of why they put so many different types of films in. And our discussion should show that to everybody that they couldn't put all of one type in, otherwise there'd be a big dropout on who was enjoying it overall. You know, the crowd out there, some are going to agree with some of us, some with others. I don't think there's going to be any one person that loves every single film, but people will now know, looking at this, that, hey, there might be something in there for me. And I think that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're coming towards the 3-hour mark. This is like, thanks so much for joining me. And I had a great time. Truly, I loved hearing everyone's take. And, you know, not to get too sappy, I consider you guys like great friends. I mean that from the bottom of my heart, you know. So I had a great time chatting with you guys. Great time.
Awesome.
Dude, that's been really cool. It's just funny that you were like, we should be in about an hour or so. We'll be done. I was like, no way. No way.
Yeah.
Well, I was brainstorming. I was like, let's just do the rounds. And I swear to God, at the beginning, I thought, well, you know what? If it's 15 movies and I did the math, like there's no way it was going to take 1 minute to go around. You know, it's like, could it be 5 minutes? And then I was like, maybe let's just do it by disc. And, you know, it's good for us to all give our takes, but wow, 3 hours. I was far off on that.
Come on. Kaleb was going to be an hour on camera and connection all by itself.
Good stuff.
All right, fellas, any parting thoughts or anything you want to add in?
Just roll on volume 2. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I agree. Volume 2. Let's get Blind Fist of Bruce on there or something that will really bring people in and you know, give them the complete variety of what Bruceploitation is.
Dynamo.
If I don't say this, I'll be remiss. I want Michael Wirth to know that he's Shaz's favourite part of the box set. She said it's like watching Alex Cox on Movie Drone. She said he just sets you up for it beautifully. So shout out to him and the whole team. Absolutely fantastic job and very psyched for box set.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, Michael did an incredible job. Michael, very much the patron saint of Bruceploitation at this point, I think.
Yeah.
Now he's like the one that's protecting it and cherishing it and restoring it all for all of us.
Absolutely. Legend.
Good job, well done.
All right, guys. Thank you. Catch you in the next one.
Catch you later. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.